The old woman grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "Don't go there, child," she rasped, her voice dry as autumn leaves. "The woods are cursed." I pulled away, her warning echoing in my ears. She was always telling stories, this old woman, tales of witches and curses. But something in her eyes, a flicker of fear, stayed with me. I continued down the path, drawn by an unseen force. The air grew heavy, the sunlight choked by the dense canopy above. The old woman's words echoed in the stillness, fueling my unease. Still, I walked on, compelled by a curiosity I couldn't explain. Deeper I ventured, the forest floor turning to mud and decaying leaves. The scent of damp earth and something faintly sweet, yet nauseating, filled my nostrils. Then I saw her, an old woman, hunched over a bubbling cauldron, her back to me. Her hair, white as bone, fell in tangled strands down her back, a stark contrast to the rough-spun black shawl draped over her stooped frame. As I approached, she turned, her face a roadmap of wrinkles and time. Her eyes, though, held a youthful spark, a glint of something ancient and powerful. "So you have come," she croaked, her voice like dry twigs snapping. "I've been expecting you." Fear, cold and sharp, pierced me, yet I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "Who are you?" I finally choked out, my voice a mere whisper, barely audible over the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls. She smiled, a slow, unsettling stretching of her lips, revealing teeth stained an unnatural yellow. It was a smile that sent shivers down my spine. "They call me many things: hag, crone, witch," names whispered in fear and reverence. Her voice, though soft, seemed to reverberate through the silent woods, echoing off the ancient trees and filling the air with an eerie resonance. "But you may call me Selena." The name lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken power. I wanted to run, to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the forest, the unsettling aura of this woman. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but her gaze held me captive, as if invisible chains bound me to the spot. "You have something of mine," she said, her voice hardening, each word a dagger of accusation. It wasn't a request, but a statement of fact, delivered with an authority that brooked no argument. I shook my head, confused, my mind racing to understand her cryptic words. I don't know what you mean." My voice trembled, betraying my fear. Her eyes narrowed, the spark within them igniting into a flicker of anger, a dangerous glint that promised retribution. "Do not lie to me, child." Her words were a command, not to be disobeyed. "You have something that belongs to me." Her voice was filled with an ancient, unyielding demand, leaving no room for denial. She gestured towards a dilapidated cottage barely visible through the tangle of trees. "Come," she commanded, her voice brooking no argument. I followed, my fear a tangible weight in my chest. The inside of the cottage was dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of herbs and something acrid, burning my nostrils. Strange symbols adorned the walls, glowing faintly in the flickering candlelight. Selena moved with a surprising agility, her gnarled hands flitting over various objects scattered around the room. Dried herbs, animal bones, and jars filled with unidentifiable liquids. "Years ago," she began, her voice low and steady, "something precious was stolen from me." She turned, her eyes boring into mine. "A family heirloom passed down through generations." "I have no knowledge of your heirloom," I protested, my voice trembling. "I've never even been in these woods before." She chuckled, a dry, rasping sound. "You are here now, aren't you? Fate brought you to me, child." I shook my head, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the cottage, the intense gaze of the witch. "Tell me, what will it take for you to believe me?" I pleaded, my voice barely a whisper. Selena's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Perhaps a demonstration?" she said, holding up a small, silver amulet. It pulsed with a faint ethereal light. "This," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "holds the power to reveal the truth." With surprising speed, she grabbed my hand, forcing the amulet into my palm. It was cold, sending a shiver down my spine. "Now," she hissed, her breath hot on my face. "Tell me what you see." I stared into the amulet's depths, my reflection staring back, distorted and strange. Then the image shifted, swirling into a vision of my grandmother, her face etched with worry, clutching a silver amulet identical to the one in my hand. The vision faded, leaving me shaken and confused. "It was my grandmother," I whispered, my voice trembling. She had the amulet." Selena's smile widened, a triumphant glint in her eyes. "And now it is yours. Fate, it seems, has a plan for you, child." "You are the key," Selena said, her voice taking on an almost sing-song quality. "The key to breaking the curse." She explained that the amulet was stolen from her family generations ago, cursing her lineage to a life of solitude and misery. Only a descendant of the thief in possession of the amulet could break the curse. She needed me to return it. Despite my fear, a part of me wanted to help her. She seemed so desperate, so alone. "I'll do it," I said, my voice firmer now. "I'll return the amulet." Selena's eyes shone with gratitude. "Thank you, child," she whispered, her voice hoarse with emotion. "You have lifted a terrible burden from my soul." I placed the amulet in her outstretched hand, a wave of relief washing over me. For a moment, I thought the nightmare was over. Suddenly, Selena's demeanor changed. Her frail frame seemed to expand, her eyes glowing with a malevolent light. It was as if an ancient dark power had been awakened within her. The cottage around us grew colder, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. The once cozy room now felt like a tomb, filled with an eerie mist that chilled me to the bone. "Fool!" she shrieked, her voice no longer the frail rasp of an old woman, but a guttural roar that seemed to shake the very foundations of the cottage. "Did you really think I would relinquish my power so easily?" Her sinister expression twisted into a mocking grin, her laughter echoing in the confined space. The amulet in her hand pulsed with a dark energy, the symbols on the walls bursting into a blinding light. It was as if the very essence of darkness was being channeled through it. I shielded my eyes, fear gripping my heart like a vice. The light was so intense, it felt like it was burning into my soul. "You have played right into my hands, child," Selena cackled, her voice echoing through the cottage. Her laughter was a symphony of malevolence, reverberating off the walls and filling me with a sense of impending doom. "The curse," she continued, her voice dripping with venom, "was never meant to be broken. It was meant to be transferred." I stumbled back, my hand instinctively reaching for the now empty space in my pocket where the amulet had been. "You see, child," Selena said, her form shifting, becoming younger, more vibrant, with each passing second. "I needed someone of your lineage, someone who had touched the amulet, to become the new vessel. Your grandmother, she understood the danger. She kept the amulet hidden, hoping to protect her family from my grasp." Selena laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the woods, sending a shiver down my spine. "But now," she said, her voice laced with triumph, her efforts were all in vain. I felt a coldness spread through me, a creeping numbness that started in my fingertips, slowly making its way up my arms. It was as if the very essence of life was being drained from me, leaving behind an empty shell, and spread towards my heart. As Selena basked in her newfound youth and power, her laughter echoed in the dark chamber, a chilling reminder of her betrayal. I understood. I had been tricked, manipulated into becoming the vessel for her curse. My fear morphed into a cold, hard anger. The realization hit me like a tidal wave, and I knew I couldn't let her get away with it. I may be trapped, but I wouldn't let her win. Not completely. My spirit remained unbroken, and I vowed to fight back in any way I could. I would find a way to warn my family, to reach out to them despite the barriers that now separated us, to protect them from the fate that had befallen me. I would become a cautionary tale, a ghostly whisper in the night, a story told to ward off the unwary, whispered on the wind, a reminder of the witch's treachery and the price of freedom. My presence would linger, a spectral guardian watching over those I loved. And Selena, drunk on her stolen youth, would never know the true extent of her failure. She might revel in her temporary victory, but the seeds of her downfall had already been sown. She may have won this battle, but the war was far from over. My resolve was unyielding, and I would find a way to reclaim what was lost, to restore balance and justice.